Hi everyone, thanks for clicking on the video as usual. Friday, May 23rd. Not a bad day. You can see behind me plenty of sunshine. There's also quite a few puffy clouds out there, but you may also notice it's a bit windy, which seems to be the trend lately. It seems like it's all I'm talking about is the wind, but figured I'd film in the terrace this week just because of the wind. Again, the wind does mess with the microphone on this GoPro. I think even if I went out to the forest in the trees, I'd still have some wind problems today. So I figured I'd just take care of it in the terrace. But on the topic of the GoPro, I did finally get a tripod for the camera, which is a great improvement. Up until recently, I basically just had that stick where you hold the camera, and any other time I just had to put it on a bucket or strap it to a tree if I was out in the forest. So this tripod is working quite nicely, easy to use. Glad I got it. I'll give a little bit of a additional update on camera equipment later on in the video. It's a short little clip, but I also got a new helmet, which I didn't really need the helmet as such. There's Pippa, she wants to be in today's video, but mainly it was, I was really struggling with getting this GoPro to strap to or attach to my other helmet or my original helmet. I had some kind of a system, but it was no good. If you guys remember way back, I had a video where I missed the opportunity to properly film those moose that I had seen, and that was because of the camera strap that I had set up for my helmet. But this new helmet, which I'll show later on in the video, has got a chin mount for the GoPro, which is much better. I've got a lot easier control, so that's an improvement. Maybe I'll ask Father Christmas or Santa Claus, whatever you call it, for a decent microphone. You can get microphones for these GoPros where it kind of blocks out a bit of the wind. So we'll see on that. But back to my main agenda. You see I've got my little checklist, a lot of updates as usual. I don't want to miss anything, but I'll start with the weather as I always do. This past week has been, pretty good. Temperature-wise, a slight improvement on the previous week, but not real warm. For nearly the end of May, we just cannot seem to warm up. I mean, it's okay, it's manageable, but this week I'd say the average daily high was 11, 12 degrees. But again, with a pesky kind of chilly wind. In fact, this morning I was out watering and I was wearing a winter hat, and I was glad I was wearing it. So we'll see, could be worse. Rain, we did get some much needed rain recently. Kind of last weekend it rained quite a bit, and then earlier this week it was that really nice kind of a gentle, slow rain, but it went on for quite a long time. So I did manage to fill, basically every water jug and container that I could find, and the rain barrels still have quite a bit in them as well. So it was much needed rain. I don't really see any additional rain in the near term forecast, so we'll see. Again, don't want to be a complainer. Seems like I complain when we get too much rain, and then I complain when we don't get enough. But it was nice to get that rain. It helped everything green up real nice. Also worth mentioning, at least for my American viewers, this weekend is Memorial Weekend. Happy Memorial Weekend. Hope you enjoy the extra day off from work. For my Lithuanian viewers, Memorial Weekend is just in memory of any of the servicemen and women who lost their lives in foreign wars. As a side note, it's usually the official kickoff to summer in America. People usually have a cookout and possibly get a little too drunk. I will probably try to do something on Monday in recognition of Memorial Day. Definitely going to have a big greenhouse and garden update for you in this week's video. I'll try to give you a little more of a full update. In the past videos I've kind of just given you bits and pieces, but my wife was nice enough to pretty much get everything planted in the greenhouse, so we're all set. A lot of other activity outside the greenhouse in the garden. Again, I'll cover that later in a video clip, but things are looking good. I do talk about garden pests. Spoiler alert, you may have seen in the opening clip I referred to one particular pest, which again I'll talk about in a little bit here. And then at the tail end of today's video, every once in a while I like to do a product review. I know it's probably not going to excite a lot of you. I'm going to do a product review on cordless tools. This particular set of cordless tools that I've had for a number of years, but that's at the tail end of the video. If that doesn't interest you, you can, won't hurt my feelings if you check out of the video at that point, or move on to something else. But if you happen to be interested in my thoughts on the cordless tool set that I currently have, stay tuned for that. It'll only be a couple minutes. I think it's 4 minutes, but that's it for now. Again, thanks for clicking on the video. More to come. And things are really starting to take shape outside of the greenhouse in the garden. You can see our strawberries are doing pretty well, our salads and radishes. We still have 2 boxes that we need to fill though. Our onions are coming up, and the garlic is coming along nicely. And our Swiss chard beets and carrots are starting to poke up. And you can see I put in a fence for our peas to climb on. They definitely like to have something strong to climb on. I'm pretty happy with how the potatoes are coming up. We'll have to keep an eye on those with the mole crickets. Hi everyone. I was hoping to give you a more full update on the greenhouse. I've been just kind of mentioning it in the past few videos, but my wife was able to get pretty much everything planted in here. I can't take any credit for that. I do a lot of the prep work, but she does all the planting. So obviously I won't give you an exact count because I don't know an exact count, but it's mostly tomatoes and peppers. We've got the peppers kind of on the other side of the tomatoes on this side. A few greens that actually grew from seed from last year. We didn't plant them. That's just, there's still seed in the ground. A little bit of parsley, or maybe that's cilantro. I always get those confused. We've got 4 cucumbers in here, which eventually will be tied to strings. They get pretty long. Another advantage of a greenhouse is cucumbers seem to grow a little earlier and maybe better in the greenhouse. A lot more control over them. A little bit of basil, various flowers for aesthetic effects, and a few more that have to go in. I think those are leeks. Those will obviously go outside, but things are looking good. And this hopefully will start to grow quickly. But there's a few other things that I wanted to talk about here. And you may have noticed in past clips these little plastic baskets that I've got hanging here. More to the point, these little plastic baskets that you see around each plant that we have in here. There's a reason for that, and I'll get to that here in a second. But I'll start with, every gardener has got a pest that seems to just really wear them down. For some people, it's rabbits. For some people, it's deer. For some people, it's aphids. Everybody deals with aphids. Some people, it's even mold or fungus that you got to deal with. We do have the odd mole come through here, but moles really aren't a big problem for us. They don't really harm the plants. They'll just root around below them. But our problem is something called a cricket mole. I'm sorry, mole cricket. I got that backwards. Mole cricket. And I had never heard of them or seen one till I came to Lithuania. I guess they do exist in the United States. I guess they do exist all around the world. I had just never seen one or heard of one. And they are, as the name implies, it's a cricket that behaves like a mole. It digs around, it digs all these burrows. You can see even here, probably some holes, these little holes and tunnels that they dig. And here is the offender. This one's dead, obviously. They move around a bit more when they're alive. You can see from my pinky, this one is, maybe 1.5 inches long. In centimeters, I don't know, 3 centimeters. They do get bigger. They do get smaller, or exist smaller, but kind of a nasty looking thing. I mean, they don't really, pose any harm to humans, but they do pose a lot of harm to plants. And basically all these holes and tunnels, what they'll do is they will tunnel up to the very roots of a plant, particularly tomatoes and peppers, but other plants as well. And they will just chew on the very stem, just enough to kill the plant. And then they move on. That's the thing that really irks me about them, is they don't eat the whole plant. At least with a deer or a rabbit or other things, they consume a good portion of the plant. These little bastards just chew on the stem of the plant, just enough to kill it. And it kills, a lot of things. So these little plastic fences protect from that. They do a great job. We've never lost one plant that was inside one of these plastic fences. We do use, depending on what the plant is, these plastic fences outside the greenhouse in the garden as well. Which leads me full circle to one of the reasons we got these raised beds put outside the greenhouse. I lined the very bottom of those raised beds with plastic mesh similar to this, but the whole bottom is lined. Theoretically, that should keep them out. Time will tell. We'll see. You can see they actually have wings. Theoretically, they can fly. So nothing to say that one can't fly into one of those raised boxes and start a family, but fingers crossed. Other things in the garden, which you probably saw in the previous clip, like peas or potatoes, it doesn't make any sense. It's not possible to put one of these little baskets or fences around plants like that. So they're kind of on their own, and we will lose some peas and we will lose some potatoes to these mole crickets, as they're called. So probably enough about that, but I guess, there's ways to get rid of them. Obviously, via the chemical route or poison route, you can get pesticides that will kill these. But one, I'm not a big fan of chemicals. We are completely organic here in the greenhouse and garden. I'm not saying if you're not organic, you're doing something wrong. We just choose to be organic. I don't really want all those chemicals. It's more of a challenge to see if we can do it without using chemicals. The other thing is, you can't just put it in your problem areas, your greenhouse, your garden. You basically have to put the chemicals in your whole lawn or your whole property. And that would get pretty expensive. I've got a pretty big property. And even if you do get rid of them, a year or two later, they might be back, or the neighbors will have them, and it just creeps into your yard. Everybody's got these. We've got them way worse than other people. Not sure why. Same thing with the moles. Probably because we don't use chemicals or pesticides. But that's an update on the greenhouse and garden. We're in good shape. I'll keep you guys posted. What has 2 thumbs and is ready to film some action videos? This guy. Hi guys. Every once in a while I like to do kind of a product review. I've done a few in the past with ATVs, etc. I promise this won't take too long or be hopefully too boring, but I wanted to talk about cordless tools, or more specifically the set that I've got. It's, the brand is Ridgid, and by the way, I'm not sponsored by Ridgid. I have no reason to say that they're good or bad, but
I'll just cut to the chase. I am very happy with this set of tools. I'll also say, I'm not a professional. I don't use these things a whole lot now, although when I first moved here, from building a shed to countless other things, I use these tools a lot. And to kind of go back in time, I bought these in America and sent them in the shipping container. Most of you have already heard that nightmare story. But the shipping container got held up in customs in America. It sat there in the middle of the summer in a hot shipping container for about 6 weeks before it ended up being sent here. So it didn't start off with a very happy life stuck in that shipping container in the middle of the summer. But again, it's a Ridgid set. It comes with the cordless skill saw or circular saw, of course the obligatory flashlight, normal drill and smaller hammer drill, and the Sawzall or reciprocating saw, I guess some people call it. It came with these two 4.0 amp batteries. I bought an extra 5 amp one, which I don't know if I really needed that, but that's the set. Of course, it came with the bag, but I know there's a lot of people that are die-hard, either DeWalt or Milwaukee or Makita people, and that's fine. I'm not cutting on them. In fact, I've had DeWalts and Makitas in the past, and they were fine. I just have been so happy with this Ridgid set. Like I said, I don't use it a whole lot more, but even the shed that I built, every single screw that went into that shed, and there were many, was driven by one of these drills. The Sawzall I've used quite a bit, with the various blades, whether it's wood or all-purpose or metal. Works great. Batteries are unbelievable. This set, again, going back in time, I've had for the better part of 7 or 8 years, and original batteries work perfectly, last forever, charge quickly. Some of this stuff has been through hell. I mean, this particular drill has fallen off the back of the ATV at about 40 miles an hour. It's been left out in the rain. It fell into water, and it just never fails. It's again, I couldn't be happier with the set of tools. I know they're not going to last forever. Eventually I'll have to replace them, but I'll probably, if the brand still exists, I'll go with Ridgid. I don't think you can buy them here. You can buy Milwaukee, DeWalt, Makita here in Lithuania, but I've never seen Ridgid. I'll have to do some checking, but one of the channels that I watch on YouTube, the Simple Alaska Living or whatever it's called, they do a lot, and he is diehard Ridgid. Everything he has, well, I shouldn't say everything, but most everything he has is Ridgid. He's got a Ridgid planer, he's got everything. So again, I know there's probably some people watching this that say, "Oh, Ridgid is crap." DeWalt is best, and that might be true. I'm just saying I have had excellent luck with this set of tools, and I couldn't be happier.